What's going on, it's Suck and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech. In today's video, I shall be showing you the results that I got when benchmarking the 2022 M2 powered MacBook Pro. As always, the full spec for the model that I tested will be left down below in this video's description. And I will soon be uploading a video showcasing what it's like to play a handful of games on this machine along with reviewing it in depth. Also, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so if you are new around here, then I must ask you to hit the subscribe button, clicking the bell to be notified when a new video goes live. Without any further ado, let's hit the titles. The first few benchmarking applications that I threw at this MacBook Pro were from GeekBench. The first of these being GeekBench 4. Now GeekBench runs several different tests on the machine, and once they have been ran, it will then score the machine based on time taken to complete these tasks. On this CPU test, it runs it on a single core and then all the cores together. On the CPU test, I got a single core score of 6,631 and a multi-core score of 27,484. I then ran the compute test, and when running the OpenGL test, I got a score of 111,915. And when running their compute test on Metal, I got a score of 98,646. I then ran GeekBench 5. Starting off with the CPU test, I got a single core score of 1,481 and a multi-core score of 6,908. Running the GeekBench 5 compute test, I got an OpenGL score of 25,814, and whilst running the Metal compute test, I got a score of 28,487. Running the latest version of GeekBench, GeekBench 6, and starting off once again with their CPU test, I got a single core score of 2,610 and a multi-core score of 9,761. Running the compute test, I got an OpenGL score of 27,836, and when testing out Metal, I got a score of 45,647. It's worth noting that a single core CPU score of 2,500 is what you would expect to see from an equivalent 12th gen i7. So on the single core side of things, this MacBook Pro is very capable, and like we've seen with the M2 powered MacBook Air, it's certainly going to be good enough for all basic tasks. Even when throwing light photo and video editing at this machine, it has proved to be quite good and can handle most tasks without any issue. Sticking with the trend of testing the CPU, I then ran CineBench R23, and this test gave me a single core score of 1,593 and a multi-core score of 8,756, which indeed gives us a ratio of 5.5. Comparing the performance in CineBench to an M1 Pro in a 14-inch MacBook Pro, we can see it's not quite as fast, but it certainly is closing the gap, at least when compared to the M1 in the previous MacBook Pro. The next application which I ran on this MacBook Pro was NovaBench. Now NovaBench runs several different tests on all aspects of the machine, from memory, storage, CPU and GPU. This test yielded a result of 1,870. I then tested the storage on this MacBook Pro, and I was hopeful to see some improvements, which were never seen. In fact, the MacBook Pro this time around has overall worse performance compared to the previous model, and certainly when compared to the M1 Pro MacBook Pros. Coming in with a write speed of 2,314 megabytes per second and a read speed of 1,443 megabytes per second. When compared to the M1 MacBook Pro, which had a slightly lower write speed of 2,059 megabytes per second, on the read side of things, the M2 MacBook Pro is almost 60% slower, which is profound and not what you would expect on a machine costing as much as this. I then wanted to test how well this machine would perform graphically, so I then ran GFXBench Metal. I will be calculating the average for the higher and lower intensive tasks, while I will show you the results that I got for each individual test. So the average I got for the higher intensive tasks was 220.2 frames per second, whereas for the lower I got a score of 240.99 frames per second. Sticking with testing the GPU portion of the M2, I ran several tests from 3D Mark, starting off with the wildlife test, which was useless as it had maxed out the test with it clocking in 60 frames per second. I then ran the wildlife stress test and got a higher and lower score of 10,200, which is great and was to be expected as I got the same result on the fanless M2 MacBook Air. I then ran the wildlife extreme test and got a score of 6,848 with an FPS of 41, which was a solid improvement even compared to the M2 powered MacBook Air, so you can certainly see those 2 additional graphics cores working here. Whilst running the wildlife extreme stress test, the best score I achieved was 6,847, whilst the lowest I achieved was 6,830. which was a decrease in performance of around 1.2%, which is negligible. So the fan in this MacBook Pro is certainly helping to keep the M2 chip cool, as with the M2 powered MacBook Air, we see a decrease in score of around 9%. Sticking with testing the GPU, I then chose to run the Valley and Heaven test from Unigine benchmarking tools. And whilst running Heaven, I got an average FPS of 66.6 and a score of 1676. And whilst running the Valley benchmarking tool, I got an average FPS of 66.4 with a score of 2779. Interestingly, the results that I got for this test were all lower than the M2 powered MacBook Air, which has less graphics cores and is fanless. I ran this test several times too, and it was always lower, so I'm not sure if there's an issue with this test, but I'm just sharing the results that I got. I then ran the Shadow of a Tomb Raider benchmark at 2560 by 1600, and with this test, it managed to render out 3177 frames with an average FPS of 21. When I lowered the resolution to 1920 by 1200, it managed to render 5087 frames with an average FPS of 34. And once again, for some reason, this test was lower than what I got with the M2 MacBook Air. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what was going on here, but yeah, once again, I'm just showing the results that I got. I then ran the V-Ray test and got a score of 5668. When running Blender on this MacBook Pro to render out the classroom scene using the CPU, it took 12 minutes and 43 seconds to complete. And when using the GPU to render this scene, it took 3 minutes and 52 seconds to complete, which is a solid improvement over the MacBook Air. Whilst using the CPU to render the BMW scene, it took 5 minutes and 25 seconds to complete, and when using the GPU, it actually took 2 minutes on the dot to complete. Once again, you'll notice that it's a solid improvement over the M1 and definitely an improvement over the M2 found in the MacBook Air, but it's nowhere near as fast as the M1 Pro. I then did a timed Final Cut Pro export, exporting a 5-minute 24-second video file to H.264. It is worth noting that for this test I had background rendering turned off, and when exporting this as a full HD file, it took only 47 seconds to complete, and whilst exporting it as a 4K project, it took 2 minutes and 55 seconds to complete, which certainly is a solid improvement, at least on the 4K side of things, as with the M1 powered MacBook Pro, it took 4 minutes and 45 seconds to complete when exporting this as a 4K project. And when exporting as a full HD project, the M1 MacBook Pro took 52 seconds to complete. So when exporting the full HD project, it's approximately 10% faster. I then ran a network speed test and got a download speed of 321 megabits per second and an upload speed of 84.4 megabits per second. I then ran the AnTuTu HTML benchmark and got a score 73,641, which wasn't exactly too bad. And when running the Speedometer 2.0 test, I got a score of 436. So that'll be it for today's video. It certainly is impressive to see these kinds of improvements compared to the previous generation, which were already a monumental improvement from what we had previously with the Intel chips powering these MacBooks. As I said earlier, I will be uploading a video showcasing what it's like to play a handful of games on this MacBook Pro. So once again, if you are new around here or are yet to do so, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified and to be one of the first 5,000 people to subscribe to the channel. If you have got any questions or if there's anything that you would like to see further tested on this machine, then be sure to leave them down below in the comment section, or alternatively you can hit me up on my social media, links to which can be found down below in this video's description. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.